very much or more. And I don't know anyone who wants more out of life than us mamas. Have you ever found yourself knee-deep in motherhood and realised that you have totally lost your joy? Overwhelmed by too much to do, never feeling like you have enough time to connect with those you love? You find yourself standing at the fridge wondering, what's going to be for dinner again? With your mind running in overwhelm, and you feel like you are constantly chasing your tail. That's exactly where I found myself. I would love to share with you the proven strategies, tools and techniques that I have discovered to get joy back in your motherhood too. Come along with me and let's get your mama mojo back. Good day. It's sort of getting close to lunchtime, isn't it? Well, my name is Naomi, and I know a lot of your faces are familiar. And I really resonated with what JP you were saying earlier, because I do feel like sometimes challenging circumstances forge different things. We have beauty come out of ashes, and definitely I found that God, as I face some challenging things of my own, I found He, out of that, brought out Mucho, and it was wonderful for both what I was going through then and also as I journeyed. It served me, and I hope it's a blessing as I share it with you. As you heard me say in my little clip there, mucho by definition means very much or more, and I don't know anyone who wants more out of life than us mamas. More time to ourselves, more connection with those we love, more self-care built into our days, more easy go-to recipes to put on the table meal after meal after meal, and a more efficiently running home so we don't feel like we're constantly chasing our tails. And that's basically what Mucho Mama is. It's all about helping us make small, mindful moves towards the mama that you were created to be. And as I always say, joy is not simply happiness. Joy can be present in the most challenging, some of the saddest seasons of our life, and also in the beautiful and crazy moments of motherhood. So with that in mind, I want to firstly remind you of two things. First, you might be currently knee-deep in motherhood or lifehood, because whenever you're going through something difficult, obviously not all of us here are mothers, but when we're going through something, it can be very hard to face the days and things that are happening in our lives. So you might find yourself knee-deep in a challenge, and you might desire change and be struggling with the overwhelm. But I want to remind you that, first of all, before I share what I'm going to today, that God is a giver of grace. And so I want you to give yourself loads of grace for whatever you're going through, whatever you're struggling with, that God has the grace to cover that, and that He has created you to live a life of abundance and joy. He doesn't want to leave you in the overwhelm that you're struggling with, but He also doesn't want you to have a desire to do some giant leap from where you are to where He has created you to be and how He wants you to live. It's a time, I think it's really important to have a time of contentment, to know that you can put things in place. He can do all the change that He needs to in your life. And once you've got those things in place, that you can know that in 6 days, in 6 weeks, in 6 months, you can be in a very different situation than you are right now. But to give yourself grace as you make that journey. I don't want you to let your guilt rob yourself of all the beautiful things that are happening, just because they're happening alongside really difficult moments. And sometimes motherhood and sometimes life, when it's challenging, can bring really difficult things into our life. In those hard moments, I want you to remind yourself that you have things in place so that it will not be the way that it feels forever. And the second is a reminder, before I share, to any mamas or people out there who are struggling so much that they feel that having their life described as joy-filled feels so different to what they're actually experiencing. I want you to encourage that this can definitely change. A big part of the Mucho Mama mindset is all about getting clear on what self-care really looks like. Because when you're taking care of you, it's so much easier to face challenging days and challenging moments. It's all about getting your self-care cup filled back up and only giving of the overflow. I think we have often heard, keep your self-care, keep your cup filled up. But I want to totally make a new way of looking at this and have your cup so filled that it's overflowing, and only give of the overflow, because it makes taking care of yourself a really important priority, because you cannot love those around you if you're not taking care of yourself. With those two things in mind, I really want to make sure that as I'm sharing that I'm an encouragement and I'm not discouraging you in any way, because sometimes when you're going through a hard season, when someone's, trying to inspire you, just listen to what I'm going through. So I want you to remember grace. I want you to remember that it's okay to need to take care of yourself first before you make any changes in your life. And now I want you to, there's a little picture that I'm going to have up on the screen here in a moment. And I've got a picture of a vintage bike because in this season of my life, that's the sort of bike that I ride. But you can have a picture of any type of bike that you love and that, resonates more with you. I heard Craig speak earlier about the 25,000 spins, and it was a joy in the season of my life before children, being able to go on a different type of bike and enjoy riding more of a road bike. But right now I find myself with a vintage bike with a basket on the front and a seat for my youngest child. I'm a mother of 4 beautiful children. And I want you to, the reason why I wanted to have that picture there is because I want you to picture yourself standing at the top of a hill, looking down the hill to the road before you, and I want you to imagine that the life that is waiting for you there is one that is beautiful, joy-filled, you're living in your purpose, and that is all waiting for you. So you've got purpose, satisfaction, and joy awaiting you. And I'm actually going to give you a little bit of time in a moment for you to allow God to give you a bit of an image of like a facet or a little part of that life, as much as you can receive in 1 minute. Because I'm just going to give you 1 minute just to close your eyes so that you can just really be open to Him showing you what a joy-filled life would look like. The things you might want to think about are what dinner time looks like, what bedtime looks like, how much energy do you have to get through each day? How do you feel after a meal? Do you feel that you are nourishing yourself well? Do you speak kindly to yourself? Are you making time to take care of yourself? And what do your relationships and friendships feel like? Are they deep, honest, and satisfying? Now, I just want you, and I will give you this time in a moment, I just want you to listen to your heart. I want you to allow God to speak into your life, the vision that He has for you, and it's different to every person. He's created you uniquely with a dream for you. I want you just to close your eyes and take that time in a moment. But I want to share with you a little story because I believe that there's different seasons. There's short seasons and long seasons. So I have 3 older children, 10, 8, and 7. And I have a little 1-year-old girl. And my 3 older children are like angelic sleepers. I didn't realise how good they were until I got the full experience with my 4th child. And she's just, that's not her strong point. She's delightful, brings so much joy, but sleep is just not her strongest quality. And so in this season, my joy-filled life would look like her sleeping in her cot, only a metre, a bit from her bed, just sleeping in there for just a night. That would be like joy to me. And I've actually sought God's heart and been Jesus, please, can you just make her like the others? Why is it so difficult for her to sleep? And actually, I felt God say back to me, no, I want you to keep her close. I want you to allow this connection. It's important for whatever reason. I don't quite understand it, but it's important. And so I'm leaning into this short season, and I'm hoping it's not too much longer, this short season of allowing her to have this need, me meeting it, and I'm still doing things when it's her nap time, I still lay her in her bed and I sing her a song and she goes to sleep there, and I'm hoping that just transfers tonight, but it hasn't happened yet. But there are seasons like that where it's a short time and it's hard, and you do need to make sure you've just got self-care in place so that you can get through that short, hard season. But then there are times when He's wanting us to make a change. The season is right, that is enough of that season. Everything in your life is mature enough that you can make a big change. And He'll want to allow you to have your life, and however it feels now, He'll want to change that in a significant and a big way. And it's a season where it'll be hard in patches, but He wants to call you to a new way of doing life. And so I'm just going to ask you, only if you feel comfortable, don't feel like there's any pressure, but sometimes closing your eyes just allows you to not be distracted. So if you would mind closing your eyes, if you feel comfortable, for just 1 minute. And I just want you to be still, and I want you to just say in your heart, God, what does joy-filled life feel like to me? What does it mean to live a life of joy? And just let Him speak that to you. He might just give you a little glimpse. There's not going to be time to go into your full life, but hopefully He'll, maybe something, the most important part. So just close your eyes, and I'm going to give you just 1 minute just to receive from God what He would love your joy-filled life to look like. Now, hopefully you have a little bit of a clearer vision. And I'm going to share with you a quick story before I continue, and that is, I heard a beautiful podcast recently, and it said it was all about worship. And, it compared it to catching up with a friend. So it said, you're walking through the shopping centre and then you see your good friend and you have, 5 minutes with them, and it's just beautiful. It's restoring. You have a wonderful time. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, better go, get back into your day. And then you sometimes carve out time and space in your life to have like a whole day with somebody, like where you just, your phone's off, you are just there in that moment, everything's prepared, you just can be present, connect, nourish each other. There's no, getting back to life because you've actually allowed that time and space to just be filled up. And he says, sometimes, and I believe that there's a real beautiful covering, especially over people going through hard times and over mothers, that when we're in that season that he covers us and he's like, I can do a lot in 5 minutes. But sometimes he's like, I don't want just a 5-minute catch up. Like, I've got so much more soul-filling time that I want to restore with you in your worship. And so, yes, we've had 1 minute, but I would challenge you and encourage you to take time when you're at home to have a longer space to go, God, tell me what my joy-filled life looks like. What more than that, 1 minute and then jumping back into this talk, because I think sometimes he wants to show us this beautiful life that he has for us, and it's so easy to get distracted in the world that we live in. But hopefully now you have this little vision of your motherhood or your lifehood more clearly defined. I just want you to imagine that you're back at the top of that hill, you're looking down the road before you, and you look down at the front wheel of your bike that you're about to ride down the hill to this beautiful life that's awaiting you, like purpose-filled, incredible, and you notice there's one spoke on the front wheel. And you're like, okay, so this beautiful life's awaiting me, but I've got one spoke. How would you feel about riding this down this hill now? Now, it is a wonderful life that's awaiting you, I've got to get there, but would you feel that maybe as you rode down that your rim would buckle and bend? Maybe you're feeling a little unsure. And this image is a really beautiful analogy, and I'm sharing it because it's a wonderful way to think about life or motherhood. Because sometimes we are about, this life is awaiting us and we try to ride through it and we've literally got one spoke. We just don't have enough to get to this life that's awaiting us. And so we, it's not safe to even attempt to ride down that hill, and we'll have, disaster or calamity happen as we try. There really is a whole wonderful and joy-filled world that is awaiting you. And the more spokes that you can get back on the bike that represents your life, the smoother, safer your ride will be down towards the wonderful life that's awaiting you. So you might be wondering what these spokes are. And after 5 years of just letting God teach and grow me in this concept, I felt like they slowly fell into 6 core values. Now, regarding values, it's really important to note that we actually are all living by values, whether they're subconscious or conscious, we're all living by values. We make so many of our decisions based on them. We get into conflict based on them. We get these values passed down to us from our family. We have them given to us by the culture around us, and we have them imprinted on us daily by what we watch, read, and absorb. So it's super important to get clear on the values that you want to live by and the ones that God has for your life compared to the person next to you, or for even the goals and the core values that he has for your family or anybody else. He has a particular way that he wants you to live your life. And so that's really important to get clear on those. The core values that seem to come up over and over again were refined down, and I will share those with you now. But as they are, fleshed out, it's very individualised to each of us. It's not something that is prescriptive in any means. The first value that I want to share is get vision. Remembering that the vision that God has for your life is unique and individual. He wants to reveal the blueprint that he has for your life and your life only. And he wants you to step into your purpose and calling. Now, the enemy, on the other hand, has great plans to distract you. He might distract you with conflict. He might distract you with scrolling social media. He might distract you with shopping, online shopping, Netflix binging. And none of these are necessarily bad in themselves. but they are definitely used to be a distraction in our lives from finding what our real calling is, our real vision that God has for us, and for us being able to actually take action to step into those things and have the time to do that. So this core value, get vision, is all about seeking God's heart and letting him paint a really clear picture of the life that he has created you for, so that you can step out into that vision, purpose and calling. Then there are other core values that are more simple, like get moving and get nourished, because I realised that what I fueled my body with, how often I moved and what type of movement I did had a really big impact on how I felt, and was a really big part of helping me get my mama mojo back. Then there's core values like get less, because minimalism made me realise that when I was ordered and organised, my life felt so much simpler and smoother, and I could function better, and therefore I could, be kinder, more thoughtful, and interact better with those, my family and other people important in my inner circle. Get mindful, because I realised that making time for spiritual meditation and lots of green space and time in nature was a real blessing in my life, allowing me to connect with my maker. And low tox was a really big part of it as well, because I realised that the less harmful chemicals that I had into my skincare, less chemicals that I had in my cleaning, and the less chemicals I allowed into the food I was consuming had a really big impact in lots of ways, but it also gave me a lot of purpose and joy to be mindful of those things and to steward those things well in my family. And the last core value that for a very long time I just thought was like one of the other spokes. I was like, yep, get connected. It's just like one of these spokes. And I really felt for a long time God saying, no, it's actually not. And I was like, well, what is it then? And I had this beautiful revelation one day where he was like, it's actually the rim. It's such a foundational part that the core values actually have to go into every single part of it. So you need to be connected to your maker to receive this beautiful vision. You need to be connected to your core values and to be making rhythms and rituals that allow those to flow out. And you need to be connected to yourself and also to others around you and your interaction with them. Each of these core values are what allows the spokes to be relevant and to support us to ride onto the beautiful life that we were created for. So make time to connect with our maker. Ourselves and form habits and rhythms in our life that serve us is so important. And in closing, I just want to say today that I'm simply here today to remind you of the beautiful life that God has for you and is waiting for you. I hope that many of you are already just like stepping into it and living that, but if you look down at your life or the bike that represents your life and you're feeling that you're the wheel of your bike, that the spokes are looking a little sparse and like bare, and you feel like you get a hand getting some more spokes back to ride into this beautiful life of joy and purpose that God is wanting you to live into, then you would be more than welcome to come and join the Mucho community, so I can be used in any way as God's vessel to help you do that. I feel God has just taught me so much, and I would love to bless that. I'm blessed to be a blessing, to bless that onto anybody else who is struggling in that same way. So I want to thank you so much. And actually there's a beautiful quote that I will leave you with by Zach Beach, and that is that we are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress all at once. And don't forget that, beautiful mamas, but also beautiful people, because I'm not speaking to just mamas here today. Thank you very much.